What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Sherdog.com. It's your man Ant Walker here on the trenches, the live chat show that we do every week. So, deciding to mix things up, we're going to try some new things with the format. And one of the big pieces of this new format is my homie. You know him as a Sherdog photographer and videographer. Also, the host and co-founder, excuse me, founder, period, because it's only him at Mixed Combat Radio. Matt Hunter, the hipster. What's up, Matt?
Hey guys, hope everyone's having a fantastic day on this Wednesday, on this glorious hump day. I see Ant still working in the office, man. It's that great ambiance there for a podcast. I cannot wait. Plus, we have some fun breaking news, sort of like in the last 24 hours for MMA and UFC Tampa. So, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, UFC 243 happened this last weekend with Israel Adesanya. So, a plethora of information to address, plus your topics and questions in the forum. So much to get to, and not much time to wait. So let's get to it, Ant.
Yeah, so actually, before we even start addressing questions, we got to let the folks know that with the new format changes, not only can you drop your questions on the YouTube live chat, people who ahead of time dropped some questions, they did it on the Sherdog.com forum page, but you also can call into the show. That is a new feature. Matt, I do forget the number. If you could go ahead and tell everybody what the number is.
The number is 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. I'll say it again. 323-870-4051. If you're international, you can Skype in as well. The Skype in call is for my show. I apologize. We don't have one personalized for this one yet. But Mixed Combat Radio on Skype, if you're international, call in through that as well.
Yeah, so definitely want to welcome everyone who is going to participate in this, and can't wait to interact with all you guys. So, designated member, great guy who provides a lot of good movement to the conversation in the chat, saying Jason looks really off today. So, Jason has lost a bit of weight. He's decided to wear a baseball cap, and he has turned into Matt Hunter, Cole Shelton, the Judas of Sherdog. Saying one good co-host, one trash one. I think we know who we're talking about. To that I say, Cole, why would you talk about Matt in such a mean fashion?
Let me add this one. Designated member also adding, Jason Van is trying to prevent that cyclone which threatens ONE FC. Jason couldn't let that happen to his precious one championship, man. He had to jump out there.
No, so him and Chachi was having steak dinner the other night. And he was like, Jason, man, I need you to have my back on this one. So Captain Credential to the rescue. All right, everybody. So let's go ahead and start with some of these questions, because we do have a few things we want to get through. Now, the first question comes from Cowboy Let's Go.
Yes.
Who asks, is Jones clean?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it really doesn't matter at this point, because
everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
Everyone's on steroids, man. Like, does it really matter at this point in time, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, the UFC and the athletic commissions are allowing him to compete with the traces of oral turinabol in his system that's apparently still pulsing. I don't think we heard about that for UFC 239. I don't remember that coming up. I do remember ahead of 235 that came up, and it was a news blurb for about 14 minutes.
Yes.
And everybody just kind of shrugged their shoulders and moved on. And of course, UFC 232, where the card was moved from Las Vegas to Los Angeles on like 5 days notice. Mm-hmm. So a lot of fuckery there, but it is what it is.
And here's the thing. What was the name? Cowboy? I want to get the name of the forum.
Cowboy Let's Go.
Cowboy Let's Go. And you get the name. Perfect there. I think once the dam was sort of broken, once the seal was broken of California allowing that fight to be there, even though Andy Foster didn't have all the information when they allowed the fight to be licensed there. However, once that happened, California is one of the biggest commissions in the state, in the AVC. So, therefore, every other commission is probably going to allow John Jones because California did. If Texas didn't allow it, then I can see, or if Texas did allow John Jones to fight, I can see maybe California not, or New Jersey. Certain states that are trying to be more innovative when it comes to regulation. But it's California. If they allowed it, then I think Nevada's going to allow it. I think New York's going to allow it. Everyone's going to allow it. Why not?
Yeah, it's like California, Nevada. I would put New Jersey on this list too. Are the commissions that are going to set the precedent for everyone else to follow? Like, you're not going to whatever dumb shit that Texas does, it's not going to fly throughout the rest of the country. Texas has been the home to a lot of very strange occurrences in combat sports that wouldn't fly under Andy Foster. They wouldn't fly under Keith Kaiser or Anthony Marnell or whatever more prominent commissioners you can think of. Probably even Mazzulli, I don't think would allow a lot of the stuff that's happened in Texas and even Florida or Alabama, some of the states that aren't known for having the big money fights. So yeah, I mean Jones being clean out, whatever. Nobody seems to care. So I think the fight world has moved on from that in some strange way.
And quickly, designate member in the chat saying part of the problem is that it's hard to follow if it's a pulse or fresh injection. Essentially, taking Jones as word, good since he's a trustworthy guy. Look, the issue here is that in large aspect, PD regulation or PD science is an evolving science. It's one that largely is criticized when it comes to like the WADA code. If you ask most medical professionals or scientists in sort of like the chemist field, they will denounce a lot of the WADA code, and obviously USADA is a WADA accredited agency. So there are issues with, I think, rubber stamping a inefficient and on top of it maybe inaccurate system on all these fighters and crucifying them for maybe not adhering to this maybe inaccurate system.
Yeah,
A la Machida not too long ago with his case, a la any case of clenbuterol when it comes to Mexican fighters or Chinese fighters. Like, there's an evolving science with PD regulation that is obviously happening, and right now I feel like to crucify John Jones for this case or for this situation is a mute point in my opinion. I feel like if you want to criticize his character for other things, that's fine. I feel like that's completely on the table. But like this one, I feel like at this point in time, there are other things that we should concern ourselves more, including when it comes to PD regulation. John Jones's case is not high up on my list of concerns when it comes to PD regulation in sports.
yeah. If anything, I kind of, despite the fact that I wholeheartedly disagree with that move of UFC 232, and I've been on record saying that, but I will say that the positive about it is it shows that the commissions are taking a more nuanced approach to PED regulation, and that's very necessary
Yes.
with the science evolving as you mentioned. So, all right, now let's jump ahead to a question from Purple Storm, who says, "Hey, Ant, I'm pretty sure Israel Adesanya is Fighter of the Year. Who else do you feel is in contention? Any other names coming
I
up
mean,
to
he's
mind for
asking
you?"
you, Ant. He's asking
He,
you.
he is he is asking me, and
He's
I
asking
I
you.
was trying to kick it to you to see if that could stall for time to where I can think of someone else, but I honestly can't think of anyone else who is deserving of that. Amanda Nunes has fought once this year. I mean, but
The problem
yeah,
was
but she's
like
fought once this year. Like
the thing is like the Silva fight was this year, right? Or was it late?
Henry Cejudo,
But Cejudo's only fought once this year, hasn't he?
he's fought twice. He knocked out Dillashaw in January
God, that was in
and
January. Wow.
and beat Marlon Moraes a couple months
Okay,
after
so
that.
Cejudo's obviously a clear sort of person in that contention, right? I mean, Cejudo or Adesanya at this point, especially if we're just considering UFC fighters. I know Pitbull was out there on social media upset at Ariel Helwani because Ariel Helwani had a post on social media about this and included only UFC fighters, and Pitbull wasn't happy about that. But I will say this outright: sorry, Pitbull. Henry Cejudo and Adesanya's accomplishments this year are better than yours. I think it depends what you like. Do you like the sort of two division decimation at the top that Cejudo just did, or like overnight in a sense, or do you like Adesanya's rapid ascension to the top of the division and seemingly ascension to the throne of fellow superstar? I mean, I think that's where certain people will either like, oh, if Cejudo moved up in weight class, beat Marias and Dillashaw. Wow, that's amazing. Or do you like Adesanya's rise to the division and to the top of the division, and how did those narratives play to you? Adesanya's probably the fighter of the year for me personally because I like that story more. And I think Cejudo beating Dillashaw and Marias wasn't as shocking as, let's say, Adesanya's rapid ascension in talent and in skill from Anderson Silva to Kelvin Gastelum to Robert Whitaker. That to me is just utterly shocking. How do you not give that guy fighter of the year?
Yeah, I definitely understand bringing Cejudo up in that conversation. I understand if you were to lean toward Henry Cejudo because what he did was historic. Like
Yes, it is.
he knocked out the what was thought of as potentially the greatest bantamweight of all time in 25 seconds or
Yeah.
something like that. Then he went on and smashed Marlon Moraes, who was supposed to be like an heir apparent to that throne and was a very dominant champion in World Series of Fighting. So yeah, I get that, and I get that the two division part of it as well. So and then you look at TJ Dillashaw was on EPO for that fight. So now he so severely beat a guy who came in artificially enhanced as well. So there's a lot to Henry Cejudo, and Henry Cejudo has kind of emerged as a star in the sport as a result
Yeah, yes.
of the collection of these events. Now Israel Adesanya, on the other hand, has had the same without the two division thing, of course, has had the competitive success beating the consensus greatest middleweight of all time in Anderson Silva in a very exciting fight, in my opinion. To then having the fight of the year thus far with Kelvin Gastelum, to then beating the guy who was being talked about as GSP 2.0 and Robert Whitaker. However,
That
that
narrative was.
comparison doesn't exactly follow through, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
Like Robert Whitaker is a killer. He's a guy that I think anybody who watches mixed martial arts in the slightest and knows who he is has a lot of respect for that guy and believes him to be a very dangerous person. So Adesanya made him look like an amateur in there.
I completely agree.
And then
Quickly,
on top of that, he's a big star. Like he is a big star to the point where we're talking about a potential pop culture crossover star now. Fight of the year for me.
Jimmy White in the chat saying if Masvidal beats Diaz, then he's right up there. Agree with that.
That
Absolutely.
yeah, that's a good one right there.
Yes, but that's again we have to wait and see because if he loses to Diaz, then obviously he's not even in the conversation. And designated member saying Cejudo, killer of snakes, master of two divisions. You just like Ariel's Nuda references. Cejudo is the true golden personality of MMA. And I gotta say, since we interviewed Cejudo yesterday, and I mean I do like Cejudo. The guy is a very lovely guy. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
nice guy, and I know people think he's too cringy, but I find it funny, like in a dorky, nerdy way as well, to be honest. So
Yeah, it's really tongue in cheek and it's
yeah,
harmless. It's just harmless fun and chill out. I don't really think it's that bad. It
it,
is
it's
yeah,
not Colby
whether you
Covington,
find it funny or not, it's at least entertaining. So,
and it's definitely not Colby Covington level of cringe. Let's just be
right, and
honest.
it also it doesn't touch on some more serious, ugly topics. Like it's not crossing any lines as far as social economic
But
controversies or racial barriers or anything.
it's
It's
not
just
even
harmless
that.
fun.
It's not even that. Like clearly Cejudo is like actually decent on the mic and decent in front of a camera, right? Like Cejudo might
Right.
actually have a decent career being an analyst after it's all said and done. To be honest, um, Covington looks like he is completely awkward in front of a camera. Has no idea how to talk to it. No idea how to interact with women near him that he has paid for to be on camera with him. Just a really weird, again, cringe personality on top of it. Cejudo, while he is cringy in terms of like the intergender champion stuff like that, the guy or like the whole snake thing with Dillashaw.
Yeah.
I
Well, that
mean,
was trash. That was so
no, but see,
trash.
I loved that. That to me is like he plays it off so well. That's the thing. You can do dumb things and cringy things, but if you play it off well with some confidence, it sells. You have charisma attached to it. Covington has no charisma. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's
If he had
very,
if
very
he had
good point there.
charisma, I don't think we would be complaining about his MAGA bullshit bit as much because at least it would sell better. But it doesn't sell. It doesn't do what it's intended to do. So that's the issue.
I mean, we'll see what it does as far as the selling points. I mean, we had a very interesting interview with Kamaru Usman as well,
Check it
where
out.
we talked a lot about a lot of stuff about that. So you can check the Sherdog.com YouTube page for that interview, and Mixed Combat Radio's YouTube
Yes,
page as
I
well.
believe right now they are not up on Sherdog. They're all on private. So and
Oh, they have to be
I want
maybe.
you to go double check because Fridley doesn't like my title sometimes. So I want you to double
Okay,
check.
fair enough.
I
Fair
get too
enough.
controversial with my title, so I want you to double check.
You clickbait son of
Hey
a.
man, it's YouTube. But definitely the Kamaru Usman interview is out also on Mixed Combat Radio if you want to check it out as well. And he outright says, "I'm the real American. Covington isn't." And I mean, that lays down the gauntlet for that promotion. I cannot wait for that fight. That is clearly probably a top 3 fight of the year. And on top of it, I'm probably more hyped for that fight than what we just had this last weekend for 243. Like, I know Adesanya, his rise and all that is amazing, but Usman and Covington mean something in an entirely different way than just, oh, this guy beating this guy. It has so much more meaning to it.
And even from an X's and O's standpoint, that fight
Oh,
I
that
think
too, of
is going to
course.
be a lot more interesting than people
Of
are
course.
initially giving it credit for. So that should be a very strange mix of styles that are very similar. So I'm curious as to what that one's going to look like. So let's go ahead and address one question we have here on the live chat on YouTube. Says, what is this rumor of Joanna having a tough time cutting weight? So I have not been able to follow this story very closely, as I have been going back and forth between work and between expectant father duties, taking my wife to the doctor and whatnot. So Matt, I know you've been on the news a little better than I have today, or have you?
I mean,
Just assuming.
you know me. I mean, I'm working also dad life to the
That's
max.
true. Yes.
But what I've been able to glean from this news story about Jacek not being really able to make waves, that she alerted the UFC potentially a couple weeks ago about maybe not being able to make weight. They kind of did nothing about it until this week, and Jacek's out there on social media doing Instagram stories saying, "Hey, weigh-ins on Friday. I don't know what you guys are talking about," kind of tongue in cheek, as she does. Um, and the rumor is, at least from what I've seen, the reporting is that Angela Hill might step in, and not step in for Jacek, who potentially can't make weight, but step in for Michelle Waterson,
Who refuses to take a catchweight bout?
which to me
Wisely
is
so. Wisely so.
which
I
to
might add.
me which to me is such a UFC story, right? That instead of punishing the person that can't make weight for the contracted fight and the weight class for that fight, no, they're gonna kick off the person that doesn't want to do a catch weight for a person that's far bigger than her that won't make weight potentially, and have someone else step in for her. And no, shout out Angela Hill. I love Angela Hill, but man, I hope you don't do it. I hope out of like class solidarity, you go, man, that's not right. That's not right for Michelle Waterson. Like, if she doesn't want to take this catchweight fight, then why is she being kicked out of the main event? This makes no sense. Other than it's in Tampa, Jacek trains in the area. That's probably why they want her to stay on the card and not Michelle Waterson. But
She's still a big name, and that's really
agree,
what. And Michelle Waterson is refusing to take a catchweight fight, as she should refuse
absolutely.
to take the fight under these circumstances. You at least want Joanna Jacek to stay on the card if she's willing to fight. Because I mean, granted, I think UFC Tampa is a sneakily good card as far as some of the names on there,
If that main
and
event drops,
there's some interesting matchups there. But as far as name value beyond our bubble, beyond the bubble of the two guys talking right now, and the handful of people that are throwing their thoughts out there on the YouTube chat and drop some questions on the forum, um, it doesn't really do much outside of that. And you at least could put up Michelle Waterson, the karate hottie, who obviously a very attractive woman who is very dangerous with her skill set, against the former boogie woman of the strawweight division.
quickly,
You have that.
Cole Shelton,
Mhm.
great friend of the show, great friend
Uh,
of Anthony Walker as well, BFFs for life. Saying they
gosh.
also wanted Watterson versus Andrade at UFC 244. And he repeated what I said. Drana has now come out and said that she would cut weight, and she didn't do weigh-ins on Wednesday, blah, blah. If what they're trying to do is saying, hey, Watterson, sorry, you don't want to take this catch weight, go fight Andrade a week or two later, a month later, and vice versa, Jacek, you stay on the card and fight Angela Hill. I mean, I guess I'm okay with that slightly. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it's not the worst case scenario, but it's definitely not what I would prefer. To be quite honest, I don't know. That's an odd decision making by the UFC's higher
It's
brass.
it's strange, but if you're Michelle Waterson, I take that UFC 244 deal, because
It's a
one,
better card.
you've got like another name that's a big name in the division,
Former
who's
champion.
high, yeah, former champion, high up in the rankings, as a result, and yeah. You got that fight on a higher profile card, even if it's going to be on the undercard. You've got it on a bigger event. So I would take that if I were Michelle Waterson. And I'm sure that's probably the direction her team is
Mhm.
going to push her in, because and you still have time to prepare for that fight. So she's already in shape. She can halt her weight cut right now and go back to skill training. Perhaps she matches up well with Andrade on November 2nd, I believe the fight takes place. Yeah, and that's a better case scenario than stepping in against Joanna Jacek, who is not the easiest style matchup.
Mhm.
Waterson is already, naturally an atom weight. She doesn't belong fighting at strawweight. That's not her optimal weight. So you're gonna fight a strawweight when you're an atom weight, when that strawweight doesn't even come in at the strawweight limit. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Or the alternative is you fight somebody totally new and you're that high up in the rankings and it took you that long to get to that position. I'm not taking that chance if I'm Team Waterson. It just doesn't make sense.
Agree completely. And just to address sort of the elephant in the room about the narrative on social media about how this is due to Yana Jacek's recent breast implants. And look, first off, she has had weight issues in the past, so I don't know why we would now just attribute this to a newer sort of situation that she has. But I think is that narrative is largely because most of the MMA fan base on Twitter are late teenage, early 20-year-old men who are single, need lives, and unfortunately don't get any. And that's why they're talking about Yana Jacek's breasts more so than anything else when it comes to the story.
I do think that there is something to it, but at the same time, it's not the total story. And if it is something that you want to talk about, do it in an intelligent fashion. There
Agreed.
is an intelligent way to have that conversation. We've had similar conversations, like when Misha Tate had her like deathly looking weight cut
Mm-hmm.
ahead of. I want to say that was the Nunes fight.
Was it Nunez
I
or Holly Holm? It was one
I,
of
I
those. It was one of those. I know
I'm
that.
guessing. I think it was the Nunes fight. Where she was like on the floor and looked like she was on the brink of death. There was some discussion about that then. But if you're talking about like, okay, well, breast implants weigh this, and you already have trouble making weight, perhaps it isn't the wisest decision to have unnecessary weight on you when you're still
Mm-hmm.
competitive. That's a perfectly fine argument to make, and one that I don't disagree with. But if it's just an excuse for you to let out your inner perv, fuck out of here with that.
And I think even
Grow
like Paige Van Zandt, who's been really open about her breast implants, have like she's talked about. I think about how that she had to adjust her weight cut accordingly, but it wasn't that much of an adjustment. Like the idea that it's now this big deal really isn't. It might be for your first weight cut because it's newer, right? But it's something that you can dial down rather fast. And Jacek, I think, has had a couple fights now with them, so it shouldn't be a big concern. And again, she's somebody that's had weight issues in the past, tried to move up in weight to 125, a whole 10 pounds extra at 115 to 120 is a massive percentage of your body weight. And she, I think, would rather fight there if she could just be more successful, but she probably can't beat. She can't beat Shevchenko. She obviously probably can't really contend with that division like she wants, so that's why she dropped back down to 115. And that's in a combination of factors led to her probably struggling to make weight for this fight.
Yeah.
Not too shocking.
Yeah. Either way, still not Michelle Waterson's fault.
Oh, of
So
course not. Of
yeah,
course not.
definitely not something that she should bear the brunt of responsibility to help rectify.
And I hope there's not a lot of that on social media. I know that I've seen some people react to that on social media, but I've not seen a lot of people hate on Michelle Waterson for this, to be honest. I've seen more of the pervy comments from the MMA community because,
Yeah, just grow up,
yeah.
because like whatever. Oh my god. All right, so let's go ahead and move on just a little bit here. Jump off talking for just a second here, because Ishmael has a comment saying Covington is going to embarrass Usman D1 versus D2. Sir, I might say that is not the best argument to put forth. We've seen plenty of Division 2 wrestlers beat Division 1 wrestlers in mixed martial arts. Most famously, Shane Carwin not defeating Brock Lesnar, but giving Brock Lesnar some serious issues in their fight, proving to be the better wrestler. He just gassed out. So that narrative does not doesn't play out typically. Think about John,
GSP against anybody at 170.
exactly who didn't wrestle at all. John Jones
The
was he a
community
decent
college.
wrestler
No,
or was he a junior college champion or something? It's
I'm
like a
trying to remember
JUCO
now.
wrestler, yeah, junior college champion.
Yes, he was a junior
Yeah,
college champion. Yes.
like if you think for a second that John Jones wouldn't have ran through a great deal of Division I wrestlers at that time, you are
Or
not paying
or here's the
attention.
thing, maybe he couldn't, but that's amateur collegiate wrestling. That's not MMA. You know, like Gokhan Saki, great kickboxer, got knocked out by Khalil Roundtree.
Yeah.
Like, these things aren't shocking people. Like, you can have great traditional martial artists, whether it's boxers, kickboxers, wrestlers, jiu-jitsu players, whatever it may be, and they might get out grappled, might get outstruck in their respective field in MMA because it's a different ball game. It is. Like, it just 100% is. So the idea that, like, yes, obviously accolades and amateur accolades or any sort of pedigree in martial arts is important, but it's not a underlying basic reason to pick one person over the other. Because then you're talking about things that are like 10, 15 years old on top of it. People evolve, including Covington. Like, to say like Covington is just a D1 wrestler, I think it's probably even disrespectful to his game. What the striking he showed against Robbie Lawler, like, even to be objective for once as a guy that doesn't like Covington, like, the guy's striking game has drastically improved. To call both of them just wrestlers probably is not adequate anymore. And to then lay on that, just their amateur college wrestling pedigree is enough, and the underlying reason why one guy will win over the other is just ahistorical. It's just not based on anything factual, anything material.
Exactly. Mixed martial arts, therefore things change from discipline to discipline in that context. All right, so keeping up with we're going back to the Joanna Jacek and Michelle Waterston stuff. Judas Shelton himself has dropped something in the chat. Did you guys see Mike Dolce's tweet about George Lockhart messing up Joanna's weight? I've officially crowned him the pettiest person in MMA. Yes, Cole. I second that. I'm not going to crown him the pettiest person in MMA.
He's up there.
He's definitely in the running. Scott Coker still takes the belt from me. Scott Coker on MMA Twitter is the pettiest personality, and I love it. The pettyweight champ of mixed martial arts goes to Scott Coker.
I miss Joe Silva's pettiness. I'll be honest.
Well, see, he wasn't on social media.
It doesn't matter. You saw it in the matchmaking.
Oh yeah, true. He was an extremely petty man.
If you were aware enough, and on top of that, if you listen to the SRN back in the day, you can piece together sort of who Joe Silva was shitting on at the time. Also, Jason Cruz, shout out to Jason Cruz, MMA payout and show money at Bloody Elbow. Some of Joe Silva's sort of documents, so to speak, from the antitrust hearing have come out, and they're some of his correspondence back in the day when he was a matchmaker, and oh my God, it is so good. One of them is towards Bang Ludwig's manager back when Bang Ludwig was fighting in the UFC. Man, what an icy person Joe Silva was, man. I'm just gotta say, he is still probably in the running even if he's gone. His presence still looms.
Yeah, I've heard so many just ridiculous stories of like, for instance, if there was a fighter that got into the UFC that he didn't want there, that like say Dana and the Fertitta brothers or something insisted on being in the UFC, he would purposely match them up to lose. In one case, I heard of him going out to sign the one person who beat some fighter in the regional circuit just to fight the one guy he didn't want. So there are a lot of stories like that about Joe Silva. So if Joe Silva were on Twitter, he would easily smoke everyone that we can think of for being pettiest personality on social media. But here's a guy that I think needs to be in the conversation, even though his relationship to the sport is kind of on the fringe. 50 Cent. 50 Cent is obviously one of the pettiest people ever.
But not really combat sports. Or I should say MMA. Definitely boxing.
He's like a Bellator ambassador or whatever he is.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't
he
matter.
can sneak his way in a conversation that way.
Nah.
I mean, either way, there's a lot of petty things.
If we're talking boxing, yes, because obviously you have the Mayweather beef with 50 Cent.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
But that's not MMA. Stop. And on top of it, Cole reminding us that Woodley was also a D1 wrestler, and Usman trashed him.
Yeah.
dominated him. But hey, man, keep picking Covington, guys. I'm gonna laugh my way to the bank.
See, yeah, I think that fight is a lot closer than what it may appear to be, because they have such similar styles. But that's for another time. We will break that fight down and analyze that in detail in the near future. So let's move on from that. We do have some other questions here. Now we got one from Europe One on the Sherdog.com chat who says, "Why is no one talking about Conor McGregor versus Islam Makhachev?" He also, because there was some discrepancy before when he asked about Islam Makhachev some months ago, he just said Islam, and I thought he was talking about the religion. So he made a point to say not the religion. Conor McGregor versus Islam Makhachev seems to be the perfect match to make from a narrative and
What?
stylistic perspective. You will keep the beef going, and we will see how Conor performs against someone with an almost identical style to Khabib. I
That's
I
such
don't
a
agree, but I
no.
understand where he's going with
No,
that.
I don't understand where he's going with. Okay,
Well, Islam Makhachev was, if I'm not mistaken, he was involved in the brawl, right?
okay.
Didn't Connor punch him in the face
Look,
during the 229 brawl?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Okay, he might have been involved with the brawl. Who gives a shit? Okay, the only people that were involved with the brawl that matter were Connor and Khabib. Okay, that's all that matters. Okay, on top of it, if Connor's first fight back is against a non-name, uh, non-commodity in the UFC like Islam Makhachev, really, that's disappointing, and that's bad matchmaking, bad promotion by the UFC. To be honest, like the Conor and Cowboy fight is the easiest fight to make. It's the most obvious fight to make. It's a sellable fight. It's a pay-per-view headliner. That should have been made years ago. That is still the number one fight to make, even above a Justin Gaethje fight. Why? Because you still need him to get a tune-up. So
Hmm.
I understand why they picked an Islam Makhachev for that reason, but he's a no name. He's a no commodity, and just selling it off of he was in the brawl with Khabib and Connor. Who cares if it's not Khabib and Connor we're talking about fighting and using that brawl as the promo? It doesn't work in my opinion. Not the same way that people hope. So unless Connor's fighting a name in the division, no one's gonna give a shit. No, I'm not saying no one's gonna give a shit. I would say this that it doesn't do any benefit to Connor, and Connor should look at a fading veteran with some name value that he can beat, like a Donald Cerrone, and that should really be the only name that's talked about. Islam Makhachev is such a bad matchup for Connor, not because he would beat Connor, because it does nothing for Connor. It does absolutely zero for him.
See, now I agree with most of what you said there, but I do understand Europe One's perspective on this because obviously the brawl is still talked about. You can't be within a 50-mile radius of Khabib Nurmagomedov and not be asked something about Conor McGregor. So some way to kind of keep that going. I mean, look at the BKFC's Paulie Malignaggi and what's his name, Artem Lobov fight. So when you have these Connor auxiliary things happening that generate money, that kind of fits that same narrative, but with actual participation from Conor McGregor.
Well,
Now, I
first,
don't
hold on.
think that is the. Now we've talked. Me and you have talked about this several times that Cowboy Cerrone or Justin Gaethje is a fight that makes sense, even or maybe a rematch with Dustin Poirier. Like there are better fights for Conor McGregor, for from a promotional standpoint, from a stylistic standpoint, to get a tune up or whatever the case, whatever the goal is. There are better fights in Islam Makhachev, but there is some logic to that matchup. Not that belongs, anywhere on a bout agreement for Conor to sign.
Some logic isn't good logic. Okay.
Some
Second,
logic is fantastic logic, you hater.
secondly, there is no way in fucking hell that bare knuckle made money off of Paulie versus Artem Lobov. Stop it.
Paulie
Okay.
made money.
That's good. Paulie made the money and it paid
Yeah.
all back in fucking medical bills though. But look, I get this very peripheral argument of, hey, Islam knows Khabib, Khabib knows Islam, might be in the corner with him, therefore it's gonna hype up the rematch. But I don't think you need a Islam Makhachev fight to build up a hype for a Conor Khabib rematch. When that happens, it would do over 2 million buys, like the first fight. And guess what? It doesn't need an Islam Makhachev fight to sell that. And on top of it, it does nothing for Conor. He's not going to make as much money fighting Islam as he does Donald Cerrone or Justin Gaethje or any other relevant name. Even Ali Quinta, Dan Hooker. Like, you can go down the list. Edson Barboza. Go down the list of actual relevant top 15, top 10 guys that matter. And while Islam Makhachev might be a great prospect, he ain't there yet. And his name value is especially not there yet to be with Conor McGregor. And that's just a reality. And I get Europe 1's argument, but it's a very bad argument. And I get the logic, but it's not good logic.
Well,
Or
here's the
I should say this. It's not complete logic. It's some logic, but it's not a complete argument for why this guy is the guy to fight Conor McGregor. It's not.
well, I'll put it this way: there was a reason why Dan Hooker was on Twitter saying that no, he didn't want to fight Islam Makhachev in a main event because nobody would show up for that fight. There's a reason why Dan Hooker said that, and Dan Hooker isn't a 25th of the star that Conor McGregor is in the world of MMA. So they're right there. So even with the rivalry, you still have to make some sense outside of that. All right. So now let's yeah, your one dropped a lot of questions. But we'll have to move on. I might come back to some of those Europe one questions. Might revisit those for the Ask Ant column as well. So we got a question from Kono Dioda.
Great
Okay.
name. Great name. I like
That's
it.
a name. That's a
Artistic.
name.
Revolutionary.
Okay. Um Kono asks, what style do you think would give Israel Adesanya the most trouble? Who do you think can actually beat him? Also, his wrestling, how good do you think it is? We haven't seen him go up against a Weidman or Romero, etc. Could that be his weakness? As far as wrestlers go, you saw what he did to Derek Brunson. So I'll just put that out there. And Matt, if you want to address this question first.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the middleweight division, the guy that obviously has the greatest possible style matchup to beat Adesanya is probably Romero. You're talking about a guy that probably won't bite on the feints that Adesanya throws. On top of it, is an offbeat striker himself, so therefore I think Adesanya is going to have trouble reading him for early parts of the fight. Plus, obviously, the wrestling pedigree, the wrestling and just MMA alone is just on another level. Talking about a guy that could get underneath that jab, evade a knee, and get a takedown. There's one guy in the division that clearly could do that. It's Romero. I think that's probably the best style matchup to beat Adesanya is Romero. No one else really makes sense to me. Even Paulo Borchina Costa, I think his striking is so predicated on being on the inside that I think Adesanya is going to have his way at mid-range and at range. Kelvin Gastelum rematch, I don't think he's going to have any more success than what he did in the first fight. Who else? Jared Cannonier. I think Cannonier needs... I need to see more of him in this division to form that opinion. Because the guy's been so amazing in this division that I don't know if what we're seeing is true yet. You know what I mean? Like, the guy is so phenomenal.
And learns so much on the fly also that he's such a wild card. That would be the guy that I would be most concerned with, because even Romero at a certain point, Romero's like 64 at this point. Like there's a point in time where this no longer makes any sense. For him to be at the top of this division, and I'm curious to see if having the Whitaker fights, if having the Costa fight, like those wars, what toll do they take on a guy who he's 42, I believe. You know, you may not be the same after a fight like that. I sat there cage side for the Costa Romero fight, and
I was in the media room. It's all right.
Yeah,
you're more special. It's fine.
I wore a suit, so they let me sit out there.
That's true.
I did wear. You definitely don't wear suits.
No.
but like to see how violent that was, and violent in the context of mixed martial arts, where it's like every hit you felt. I'm sitting 30 feet away from those guys, and I felt everything that was going on. Pause. Like that is that's pretty scary.
No, I agree. I agree completely.
So I'm not sure if Romero's going to be the same after that.
He is definitely one of those guys where at any point you're going to see that he's old, and it's going to be apparent when that happens as well. Also, reminding everyone, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If we have no callers, don't worry about it. We have all these questions and topics from you guys. It's
Hey,
okay.
say that number again. I'm gonna put that on the YouTube chat.
323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue.
All right. And probably spelled Q wrong, but there it is. I should have just put the letter Q. Actually, no, I spelled it right. Whatever.
Are you sure? It's
I don't
pretty
know.
easy.
I'm a writer. I use spell check. What's up?
It's pretty easy once you realize how to spell it, to be honest.
Yeah. I spelled it right.
I don't know, maybe. Allegedly.
And if I didn't, whatever. What they gonna do? But you not gonna call because I ain't spelling shit right? Like, fuck out of here.
True.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have on the docket here? Designated member asking a very basic question that I think we should have thought about before going into that deep dive about Romero. So why are we applying logic to Yoel Romero? Very fair point.
Because one of my initial points was that he's an offbeat striker. So like that. If you don't understand what that means, maybe you didn't understand the point.
No. Look. See, Matt, you ruining it. See, the man's just throwing a joke. You out there ruining it, trying to take it all seriously and shit. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
My goodness.
I'm sorry. I'll let the joke slide.
Oh my god, just the jokes, man.
I'm sorry. Shots at
Matt
me.
Hunter is trash.
My bad, guys. My bad, fam.
That's what's up. All right,
bring Jason back.
Let's see here. Now, we got a question from Rushbag who says, "Who are the biggest dark horses in each men's division?" So, I honestly don't have the entire roster in my mind right now. So, pick a dark horse in just one division.
No, I'm gonna go through multiple divisions here. Okay.
Okay.
The guy asked me a question. We're gonna fucking answer it. Okay.
All right.
Heavyweight Alexander Volkov. I've always been high on that guy. I think he was 30 seconds away from beating Derek Lewis.
15 seconds.
I mean, God, and honestly, God knows where the guy is at if he had that win and doesn't get knocked out in that way.
Very good point.
Alexander Volkov to me is still in that range of, man, he could be something in the heavyweight division, and especially if we're talking dark horses. Like Francis Ngannou is long gone from being a dark horse. He's a favorite to fight Stipe after the whole DC trilogy, so obviously you can't pick him. Light heavyweight, man, we can't pick Johnny Walker, right? Because he's been
we know about him. Yeah,
he's a favorite. Dominic Reyes, I feel like we can't pick either, even though I don't feel like he's that good.
I'll go Alexander Raykick.
That's the guy who did he beat recently in it was a great knockout, right?
Yeah.
I know you're talking about. I agree. I like that guy. I think it was Conor Rebush over on Heavy Hands talking about like the okayification of the light heavyweight division. How like it's not great again,
yeah,
but it's getting to a point where like it's okay. Like it's all right. You know, it could be worse.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Manawa at the Gustafsson Anthony Smith card. But before that, he knocked out Devin Clark. So that's you're probably thinking one of those two fights.
Definitely thinking the Manawa fight. Middleweight, God, I mean, who's really a dark horse?
It was Jared Cannonier until everyone figured out this man is tough as hell,
and it can't be Hermanson anymore.
Yeah, he's not the dirty little secret.
I'll throw one out, okay, and it might not be one that I think can apply 100% to dark horse, but I think it will. And I can argue it if you attack me on this, Ant. Darren Till.
I'm not mad at it. I want to see what he looks like against Kelvin Gastelum.
Because if he somehow wins against Kelvin Gastelum, all of a sudden he's a contender in the middleweight division. And right now, none of us are thinking that.
Yeah,
not a single one of us thinking that Till's going to A, beat Kelvin, and then B, be a contender at middleweight division. So if he somehow does that, it's proof of him being a dark horse contender. Welterweight, God. I mean, Leon Edwards, does he count still?
Leon Edwards, yeah. I say Ponzinibbio is my dark horse.
I mean, he's the easy one because he truly is the dark horse, but I don't feel like he actually becomes a champion. Like, that's the thing. Like, I think Edwards has a chance to become a champion.
I mean, I think either one of those guys can become champion. I've been talking about Ponzinibbio for a minute. I think I actually was originally saying that Ponzinibbio would be the guy to give Woodley the most problems.
Here's the thing with Ponzinibbio. It's similar, not to the same degree, but, we talked about the Hooker Ali Quinta fight last week, right? And breaking that one down. I say, like, look, Al's been out of consistent fighting for too long for me to consistently pick him.
Hmm.
Ponzinibbio is sort of in that range, obviously for different reasons, but the guy hasn't been a consistent fighter for a while now. It feels like, and to pick him against other guys that are putting in the work, that are consistently out there, showing us how good they are, I can't. I just can't do that. Um, though I do think Ponzinibbio has enough talent to reach the top five and beat some of those guys. I just don't think he has been consistent enough in his work, to be quite honest.
Mm, mm. All right, that is a hipster take right there from the hipster himself. Lightweight. I
That's a hard
mean,
one.
the secret's out on Gregor Gillespie. That's a guy I've been.
Islam Makachev.
I, I guess so. Islam Magachev. Yeah, I mean I think the return of Kevin Lee, with Faraz Sahabi in his corner, that's an interesting proposition right there. So the winner of that fight becomes the dark horse of the lightweight division to me.
I agree.
I think they're fighting at
Yep.
244, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, is it 244?
Yeah, that's on the MSG card. That's a
Sure.
stacked ass card. Yeah. So the winner of Gillespie and Kevin Lee, my dark horse for lightweight. Let's see what else we got for
Also,
featherweight.
quick touch on that. I
What's up?
love the Faraz Hobby move for Kevin Lee.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I have long been on the train of Faraz Hobby is the best trainer in MMA, and people need to start realizing it. How smart that guy is. Like he is what Greg Jackson was sort of romanticized to be circa 2011, guys. Honestly, like we credit Greg Jackson for George St. Pierre's run and career. It's all Faraz Hobby, and it's clear as day.
Yeah, fair point there. All right, featherweight. I mean, I I want to say Korean Zombie because the technical improvements that he makes every fight, but I also don't feel like that's much of a dark horse pick
No,
because
it's not.
he's got so much fandom behind him. So I'll go Calvin Cater.
I like Calvin Cater. Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that kind of has a nondescript name, doesn't really do enough media,
Like
but
really low key dude.
really low key guy. But his fights are fun, not fun enough probably to get him that hype that I think he needs. And he clearly is developing into a real contender. So yeah, that's an easy pick probably for a dark horse contender at 145.
All right, so 135. Who you got there?
Trying to think. If Peter Yan, is he still a dark horse contender, guys?
Yeah, that's one thing. He's kind of too high up ranked now. I think to be considered a true dark horse.
I don't know.
Um,
Because that division seems really top heavy with names that we know and are established guys. Like, what are the prospects at 135 period right now?
Yeah. So one thing now, one thing that came out of the media day with Dominance MMA yesterday, we didn't get to talk to him one on one, but I forget who he did a one on one with and revealed this, but Cody Garbrandt has now added Mark Henry to his coaching staff.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so Cody Garbrandt with Mark Henry backing him. Granted, he is a former champion, but I mean, one of the clear issues that he's had over his three back to back losses has been poor strategy and handling those crucial moments incorrectly. With a name like Mark Henry behind him already being pretty good boxer, you might have a problem there. Cody Garbrandt might reemerge as something serious at the bantamweight division. So I'll take him.
Agreed. Designated member saying Yadong. Yeah, Yadong is a dark horse contender for sure.
Yeah.
What? Who did he beat that got him all that hype? Maybe.
Who beat your dong?
And he also adding Saeed Nurmagomedov at bantamweight. Yeah, he's definitely just because of the name value. I mean, he's going to get a ton of push. Flyweight. I mean, what Figueredo? Probably still.
Maybe Kai Kara France, but he's got a little bit of hype behind him. Yeah, and then it's this flyweight division is kind of screwed up the way they let so many people go and brought a few back, and some other ones are just kind of lingering around in other promotions right now. Yeah, we'll just excuse me, flyweight is kind of a wash right now. But Davidson, Figueroa, yeah, I'll take that as well. Yeah, so there it is. We actually answered that question with every division.
Yeah, look at
Now,
us.
that's what's up, man. See, I was really just gonna rush through it. I was
I
like, yep,
know.
I'm gonna answer one.
We did.
Peace.
I mean, we kind of did, but I mean, we gave some good answers.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, we thought about that one. All right, let me scroll down here on this chat. White Crow has a question here. He says, "Why does an opinion of Ant matter so much to give him a thread?" Just saying. I get paid to do this shit. Um,
You know what?
and
Hold on. Let me add. I will also agree with that forum person. Why is Ant's opinion so important to get? I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. I was gonna try shit
yeah,
on you.
see, you can't even hate properly, man. You know.
'Cause that's
I'm
so
the master
mean.
hater. Don't even. I'm the master hater, man. You can't hate a hater.
It's
All
too
right,
mean. I can't do that.
and you're not good at it, dude. Like this, hating is my lane. I am
No.
a number one hater.
You're good on hating and like not actually hating. I'm good at actually hating. Like I'm much better at ranting than you. Come on.
You rant with the best of them. Yeah, you are a
The
low
king.
key ranter. If there was a Mount Rushmore of ranters, you'd be there. It'd be you and Alex Jones.
I'm really offended by that
I
that
thought that would
connection. Yeah,
I thought that would bother you.
just a little bit.
Therefore, I said it.
Just a little bit. See, this is why you're the king of hating. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Hating
See.
ass motherfucker.
All right. So, yeah, White Crow. Like, I don't know, shit. You commented on the thread, so what's up? Like, shit, you care? Shit. All right, now, um, let's see what else we got. What else we got? I should have sent you this picture, so maybe you could throw it on the screen. But someone asked me this picture of Habib in a hot tub with like all of his training partners was photoshopped. I think that's real.
No,
Uh,
that's real.
yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's real. Does it matter if it's not?
yeah.
And if it isn't, I'm still gonna say it's real because it's funny.
Yeah. Oh, Cole, with some more bullshit in the chat saying, pretty much trying to negate. Oh, he tried to delete it. You see, he tried
Yeah,
to
I
delete the
see that.
message.
I
I
see.
saw that. I saw you, sneaky motherfucker. I saw
Yo,
that. Shit.
yo, I think Cole is so smart for pulling a John Jones over here. And I think he wants us to realize he's pulling a John Jones over here.
Yeah, you know what? We're not giving Cole that. You know what? Cole doesn't exist
Cole
unless he
saying,
says something to praise
Cole
me,
saying, I agree, Ant should not get the forum unless he has better staff picks.
bruh. Oh, all right. So let's just get this out in the open.
Because let's be honest, I beat all of you guys. I beat the
Mm,
entire Sherdog team probably
oh,
on 243.
I
On
highly doubt that.
243?
No, on 243. Like that's what I was about to say. 243. Sherdog as a whole sucked
Not me,
in the staff picks.
but I don't count, so that's why.
Oh yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't do the staff pick.
I don't get asked. Come on.
Oh well, you know what? I will make sure you are entered into the
You
mix if
don't
you'd
have
like.
to. You don't.
So, so yeah, man. Anyway, everybody staff picks was trash. Like I went 0 for 5. I know. I think Pat OJ went 0 for 5. Also, there were a lot of 1 and 4s as
Uh-huh.
well. It was it was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. Like
Yeah.
243 was like the most I don't know, like bizarre occurrences of fights, leading except for the main and the co-main. Those are things that I think that okay, if you thought Israel Adesanya was going to win, fair enough. It makes a lot of
I
sense
did.
to
I
with
did.
that pick, even though I picked against it, but I wasn't arguing too vehemently for Whitaker in that one. The co-main event, if you pick Dan Hooker, yeah, that probably was a smarter pick to make because he's the younger guy, younger, fresher guy with more range. Okay, but all the other ones like Taito Avasa losing to Sergey Spivak, like really? And especially that way, did we think that was going to happen? And especially when Taito Avasa was talking about his training being so serious for this one, and he got taken down at will. Um, then what else? And then whatever. We're done with that. We're done with that. Staff picks was trash this week.
It's okay, man. If you just listen to my breakdown of fights on Mixed Combat Radio or whenever I'm here on the trenches, you might get accurate picks. Just saying. Just saying. That includes you, Jay. I love you, Jay. Ben. Yeah, where's my gunshots at? I need gunshots for this. Cole. Better than all you.
I want smoke. Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke?
I'm right here.
Call me Mr. Chimney. I want
Call
smoke.
me Mr. Chimney. I'm right here.
All right. So before you go off on a rampage with your nonsensical bullshit, um,
Yeah.
there was a weed question that I saw in here that designated member
I didn't see it.
was referencing. I saw it and I'm gonna find where it is.
I didn't see it. I would
Oh yeah,
definitely
yes, here
answer
it is.
it.
Here it is. So it was, yeah, there we go. He just put it back up on the chat there. Because he said, according, and this was on the forum, said according to John Jones, turncoat striking coach, Jones often trains while high. We know of other fighters who reportedly do the same, like the Diaz brother. He says, and as Sherdog's resident drug expert, the marijuana master of the internet,
Wait,
the
hold on.
ganja wizard of the trenches, with all your knowledge of mind altering hallucinogens and MMA, do you think there's an advantage to training high? I don't know where I got that label from. I am not
And
that much of
hold on.
a
As somebody that does smoke weed far more habitually than Anthony Walker here, don't you dare say that Anthony is like an expert on this. Okay, he is far from it.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Now, as somebody that has only done like combat sports training, mainly boxing, I'm more of a boxing guy. High, it definitely helps. Absolutely. Helps in the warm ups, helps with the just the stretching overall, helps with the breathing actually. If you don't know, it might sound crazy, but like a few puffs opens up the lungs quite well. And I've always found it relaxes you more than anything. That's the key thing, because especially when it's a sparring day, like I found that it was very helpful when it was sparring days, because sparring days, especially if you knew that you were sparring someone that was a lot better than you and that they were going to kick your ass, you want to calm the nerves down. Weed helps. I know, like, the very little bit I used to do of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu back in the day at Babalu's gym, that was common. Like, everyone there smoked. And I know it's very common in BJJ overall as well. But I think just the overall, like, reason why people do it is because I think it sort of relaxes the muscles, relaxes the mind a little bit, and nerves and anxiety is one of the primary reasons you get tired in training or in a fight. It's the nerves and the anxiety. It's not you actually doing the activity more than anything, especially if you're a high level athlete. It's the nerves and the anxiety. And I think a lot of athletes smoke weed or do edibles or CBD to calm those nerves and that anxiety.
Yeah, I see. I've never trained while high. Like
Really?
I've no, I haven't. I haven't. So I've done.
You should definitely try it.
After training, I have. So, do like 8 rounds of sparring or something, and afterward, me and
Mm-hmm.
guys we were sparring with, go light up a little bit, and that was that. But yeah, I'm definitely not the resident drug expert. That is far,
And,
far
and,
from.
and here's another thing too. Like Ant grew up in the DMV area. It's a very different weed culture out there than LA. I grew up in the LA boxing culture, which is very different. So like weed smoking was far more of just a normal thing when it came to before and after training. It just was. I bet in the East Coast it just can't be, just from a pure legal standpoint. It's just different in the East Coast than it is
Yeah,
out here in the West.
and then also too, like my personal background, like seeing drugs in certain contexts and stuff. Like I didn't touch weed until I was like 18 or 19.
So we have a listener on my show when you come on named Lord Jacob, great listener. He has a theory that you're secretly a cop, and I think this is further proof that you're a cop. Yep,
I'm a cop.
this is further proof, guys. Ant is actually a cop.
Oh
He's
yeah,
not
I
cool.
remember. Yeah, I remember that dude saying that.
Yeah, he's
I
not
don't know
cool.
where he got that from.
It
I have
makes
no
sense.
idea where he got that from.
It
Like
makes
I
sense.
wore my Black Panther party hat today. It's actually in the car. Um, but that would calm those rumors down. Um, shit, me a cop? I mean, that's wild. That's wild. I mean, I actually
That's
almost became
wild.
one. I almost became one.
No, no, wait, hold on,
Almost became one.
hold on, guys. The truth comes out, okay?
What? I
Ant
almost did.
Ant is a
Hey,
Takashi 69 level
I
informant in the
want. I
MMA
want.
community.
Man, I
Okay,
wanted. I just wanted a job, man.
yo,
I wanted a job.
yo, Ant's been a deep cover cop in the MMA industry for at least 10 years. That's my theory running now. No one steal my theory. It's mine. If you say it, copyright Matt Hunter, MCR.
Hey, so here's something involving weed and me trying to be a cop at a certain point in time. So I got
Again,
pretty far in the process for Metro Transit Police, which is like DC's subway and bus cops or whatever.
nice.
Yeah, so I got far kind of deep in that process. What booted me out They liked everything about me except for the fact. So, like a dumbass, I actually told the truth during the interview.
Wait. So that little
I,
question: have you ever done marijuana or drugs? And you're like,
yeah,
yes.
they're like, yeah, and I said, yeah, like, all right, and and they asked me when it was. I the last time that I had smoked at least was within like was like maybe like a month or 2 months too early for them to accept me. So had I just lied or not smoked weed one particular day, it was like a New Year's Eve. I was hanging out with my cousins or something, and we smoked. And I dumbass told the truth, mentioned that, and that's what got me booted out the process.
If
So
there's anything I've learned when it comes to applying for jobs, lie on your resume. It's okay.
I yeah, yeah,
They're not
like
gonna
that.
catch you.
That was a lesson. I mean, granted, I don't really shit. I'm about to fuck all my shit up if I like. No, my resume is truthful, but just don't ask me if I smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna lie about my credentials, but
I mean, look, most people embellish on their abilities on their resume. It's not saying you are, Ant.
no,
You are an upstanding, trustworthy individual. But most people, absolutely.
yeah, a lot of liars on the
That all
resume.
that community service bullshit, guaranteed. And also, they don't care about the community service that you put on your resume. Stop doing that.
Yeah, they really don't. They really don't.
No.
I used to put community service stuff on my resume because I when I used to rap and we would do shows and stuff like they would some were like charity benefit stuff or whatever, and people would the entry would be like, bring some canned goods or
Yeah.
something to donate it to the homeless or something like that. They don't give a shit about that. They don't care. But I had them bars though. I had them bars, so that's for sure.
Designated member in the chat saying this explains why Ant hounds after one shadiness so much. Yes, because he's a cop.
I'm investigating the shit out y'all.
He's Interpol, guys. You guys don't realize it.
I'm at you, Chatri.
Takashi 69 over here.
Shit. When I come back on the trenches with like rainbow hair, y'all know what's up. Y'all know what time it is. All right. So um okay, now let's move on to actual mixed martial arts talk. This question comes from Colombian Fist, who says, will Bellator stop building fighters with the blood of bums and tomato cans?
Can you repeat that, please? Because I just want to make sure I heard that right.
He said, will Bellator stop building fighters with the blood of bums and tomato cans?
No. I'm trying to make sure I heard that right. No, of course not. Of course not. Clearly.
I didn't screen any of these questions. I just
Oh my God. Look, I've been a very vocal critic of Bellator and their business strategy and their matchmaking overall for a very long time. So yeah, I think you're 100% right. They completely feed their stars and prospects whatever it needs when it comes to blood and bones and sacrifices of bums and bus drivers and cabbies and bouncers. Yes,
Hooters, waitresses, and
absolutely. And it's clear as day that's what they do.
yeah. And let's also remember that Valerie Laredo's first fight in Bellator was originally supposed to be against a young lady who went 0-11 as an amateur to make her professional debut.
What state commission didn't accept that fight?
Was it Connecticut? I think it might have been Mike Mazzulli that shot that one down.
Okay, if it was, credit to them, man, because, hey, combat sports, they get away with a lot of shit like that. So,
Oh yeah.
it is what it is, man. I'm sorry.
All right.
Hold on, designate member in the chat, but MVP needs more seasoning. Yes.
And Cole Shelton on there trying to hate on my bars on the chat. I see you, Cole. You're gonna get this smoke one day.
I've heard Ant's original music. He was a wannabe Joe Budden.
It was before Joe Budden. Fuck you talking
Allegedly.
about. You didn't hear the emo shit. You didn't even hear the emo shit.
Hey, look, if that wasn't the emo shit, I don't want to hear the emo shit.
Look, that was not-
I'm a happy person. I don't need to be that sad.
No, that was an angry ass song you heard. Like that was see now you over here bullshitting. She over here bullshitting, man. You know that wasn't the case. You know that wasn't no emo shit.
Dude, You know that was my initial reaction.
No, actually, no. You know what it was? I think I told you about a couple lines I did or something, and you said that. But the
No,
song was,
no,
bruh,
Ant.
the
Don't
song.
lie. It was the
Look, bro.
song.
I think it was so. What's the prognosis? I'm the dope. It's like I overdosed. To smoke mics. I'm roasted. That's not emo.
Okay, the
That's just bars.
flow,
That's
the
just spitting.
beat. Guys, look, I'm just being honest here with you. This is my interpretation. Again, Ant is a wannabe Joe Budden.
It was before Joe Budden. That's how I want to be Joe Budden. When it was before Joe Budden.
Allegedly, I don't know. There's no date on that MP3 file that I saw,
Oh, you just didn't read the properties. That's all.
but I definitely didn't read
You
the
didn't. You
file.
didn't right click on it. It's not my fault.
But
But no,
yes,
I'll play you some shit like some emo shit I
well,
did.
you know what we should do for the next trenches? Let's send me your song again,
Oh, we'll open
and we
with the
will
song.
open with the song.
Shit, fuck it. You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
Gotta black out the N word though, because I don't want motherfuckers getting loose thinking they can say that shit. You gotta block that out, but that's about it. So yeah, we can get up on the radio edit and throw that on
Yeah,
there.
you have to edit that. I don't know how to radio edit a song.
Yeah, me either. Um, I know I got some of my old like acapellas and instrumentals, like the original like master files for my
Oh,
solo
here's what we're gonna do,
somewhere.
guys. We're gonna have Ant bring his original instrumental beats here to the show, and we're gonna make him rap over them. And you know what? We can even do this. You can rap your old bars too. Like it's okay. We didn't hear them. We don't need a
Oh, yeah.
freestyle,
It's new
but
to y'all.
it's new to us. Exactly. So, hey, I think it would be a real treasure for the listeners and the dedicated day one fans of this show.
Hey, you just trying to get me embarrassed, man. You just trying to clown. You trying to find something wrong so you can
Bro,
try.
would I ever do that to you?
Yeah,
You are a
exactly. You would, you snake motherfucker. You TJ
look.
Dillashaw ass.
Look, here's the deal, Amp. Okay, you may be a wannabe Joe Budden, but Joe Budden's like what, top 3 all time.
You are
So that means you're what, top 30
ass
all time.
Russ. You try what? What'd you say?
You heard me, Joe Budden. Top.
You're fake ass Russ. What?
Fake ass Russ. Fuck out of here.
All right. So
See these
before,
platinums? See these platinums on the wall? Fuck the haters.
oh, Action Bronson. All right. So, um, this is from Kono with
Conan. Yes, Conan O'Brien.
something like that.
Yeah.
Kono Dio Da.
Conan O'Brien.
Okay. Asks, are Khabib and Ali dragging their feet with the Tony fight on purpose? Maybe as a power move. What's going on? This fight could have easily been the main event for 246. Why wait until March or April?
Maybe they just want a break. I mean, that's entirely possible. The guy made tons of millions of dollars in the Conor fight, even though it's probably a lot less than what he was deserved in that fight. But it seems like he's just wanting a break from the action to me. It's if there were headlines in the media from Ali and others in the camp talking about the matchup and negotiations, then I think Conan O'Brien in the forum would be right. We should be concerned that that's what they're doing. But that's not what we're seeing, I would say. We're not seeing a lot of media about or headlines about how Khabib and Ali are waiting out Tony or they're negotiating for the fight or they're holding out. We're not hearing any of that. So I think it's just more of a voluntary, hey, we want a break for the rest of the year, be back first quarter next year. And I can understand that. I get it. I don't think it's necessarily dragging their feet during the negotiations for that fight. I don't think that's that's the issue at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, definitely don't think this is some sort of stall tactic.
No.
I mean, he made $6 million for his last fight against Dustin Poirier. You get that sort of check, yeah, you start saying, "Hey, I don't really feel like fighting right now." I think as much as um, all these fighters, think about Conor on his rise. When Conor was on his rise, he was fighting so frequently. He stayed as active as possible, and he just wanted to keep fighting, wanted to keep fighting. Man, and things changed once he got that belt, or once he reached the particular goals that he set for himself, and then it was like, I don't feel like it no more. I'm going to take some time off. And I think every champion kind of goes through that to an extent. And despite Habib Nurmagomedov being a guy who seems to be all about certain principles and hardline stances on certain things, he is kind of fallen into that mentality as well, and he's earned it. He tried to stay as active as he could while healthy. He did fight a lot last year, made a ton of money, and came into this year making some money. So cool. I'm all right with it. All right, so we've got one comment before we wrap things up here, and this is from DLX, who says, "Just wanted to say you're on my Mount Rushmore of MMA analysts, along with Luke Thomas, Jack Slack, and Jimmy Smith. I really enjoy your stuff. Keep up the good work at Ant Walker MMA."
Wow,
DLX, thank you.
hey, that's really good company to be in there with, Ant. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. I really appreciate that. And I thought that would be a perfect contradiction to all of the venom that you and Cole are throwing on my name.
I don't know what you're
Thank
talking
you,
about.
DLX, for saying DLX. I will see you next week as the co-host of the trenches.
I don't know how you can angle me wanting you to just explore your artistic music side more as me hating on you. That's me being a supportive friend.
Well,
You're welcome.
here's one thing that I realized after we talked about this and we kind of moved on. So I thought more about that verse from that song, and I was like, I did kind of throw some emo lines on it.
Bro, it. Look, I'm gonna try to explain this to everyone listening. Okay, I think you're like either the last verse in the song or like the second to last verse, right? And there's two or three other verses before Ant, and it's some hard shit. People are talking about killing people, guns, all this shit, and Ant comes in here on the same beat and just talks about how like depressed he is in life, and just like random like classic cliche shit to make you be depressed and emo rap. Again, wannabe Joe Budden shit. And it was just like, wow, man, this just brought the mood down instantly. Let me get my candles out, go cry a little bit, But great music, though.
Thank you.
Yes.
And see, after all that, then
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just sad.
well, it wasn't that sad. It's like you see what I always did. What I would spit a lot of bars, and it'll be a couple lines in there that'll be like, oh, he got a little, like, oh, he got some things on his mind. It would just be a couple lines scattered through there. And as I thought about that verse, I was like, yeah, I did scatter a few of those lines in there. So
Wait,
yeah, I guess that's a fair enough assessment.
I gotta say this in the chat. Designated member saying, "How do you put Jack Slack on a Mount Rushmore? Nobody knows his face." And look, Jack Slack, if you're listening, I doubt you're listening. Respect and love your work, but that's funny. That's
That
fucking
is
hilarious.
That is funny. Jack Slack, a lot of good work.
Amazing. I mean,
Definitely enjoy his analysis.
his work back in the day, especially with his like Killing the King column, that was
was dope.
That was revolutionary at the time. Like no one was doing an like technical analysis in the MMA community like that at that time. Obviously, Luke Thomas has now come on with Dissected and everything and done a fantastic job of that. Always been a big fan of Luke. I think you are as well.
Dan Tom and MMA Junkie, another very very good analyst as well. So, hey, our homie Juice,
Yes, Juice is awesome.
Juice is a very good analyst as well. He throws a lot of good analytical stuff in his work. So
Obviously, guys that heavy hands. Love those guys, man.
of course,
Love the work
yes,
they do.
yeah. The first time I did the Sherdog Roundtable, back when TJ was running Sherdog Radio Network, I mean it was a heart pounding experience for me because I was featured on the panel with Jordan Breen, who's incredible analyst, Connor Rebush of Heavy Hands,
And Patrick Wyman.
and Pat Wyman.
Yep, of course, man. I mean, how do you contend with that, man?
Well, actually, no. It was Patrick Wyman and Breen for the first one, and then Connor
Oh,
Rebush
okay.
was like the second one. Yeah, and it's like fuck. I better know my shit.
Yo, Pat Wyman's literally a fucking doctor when it comes to history, man. The guy is an intelligent person. And Jordan Peterson, I mean, not Jordan Peterson. Wow, funny, funny. They're both Canadian. That's why. Jordan Breen. I mean, I know you're like this. I'm like this. For anyone that came into the scene sort of in that era after the SRN heyday, Jordan Breen was such a inspirational and influential figure in terms of MMA journalism. Like the guy is such a savant when it comes to MMA knowledge. I mean, anyone that is now an MMA journalist post guys like Jordan Breen, credit a lot of their work to guys like Jordan Breen.
Big time, big time. I would wholeheartedly agree with that statement. So with that, I think that'll do it
Yeah.
for this edition of the trenches. So Matt, let the folks know where they can find you and your work.
Obviously, you can find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Mixed Combat Radio is my YouTube channel. Find that obviously YouTube, podcast format as well, mixedcombatradio.com. What else? Obviously, I do videography work and photography work for Sherdog, so you can find that stuff there. And that's about it, yeah.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Ant Walker MMA. Good, bad, and the ugly. The post fight column will go live probably Sunday. Ask Ant. The mailbag column, I got a whole lot of good questions to pick from, so I'm gonna have some good content for y'all hitting the main page, answering your questions. So of course, come back here for the trenches and next week, and then there will be a walk of shame this weekend after UFC Tampa. So look forward to you joining in that chat as well, and we'll wrap up our thoughts on the Tampa Bay UFC fight.
If you want me to join you in that walkout, I'll be glad to join you because I'm not doing any live fight chats for Mixed Combat Radio. So if you want to,
all right. So Matt Hunter and I will be doing the Walk of Shame Saturday. So check that out as well.
And I know quickly, I know we were supposed to do another show after this for the Joker and everything. I can't do that unfortunately tonight. Something came up with my kid. He got sick. So
oh damn.
Yeah, he threw up on me in the middle of the night. Great stuff.
That's what's up.
So today's been crazy. So I can't do today. Hopefully maybe tomorrow, Friday, or hell, Saturday before the fights even maybe do a quick 30-minute Joker show. Me and Ant are going to break down the Joker movie. Obviously, fantastic movie on Trending Now Network on YouTube. Go subscribe there.
All right, so you know what you got to do. You got to stay beautiful. You got to stay positive. You got to find better friends who support your rap endeavors.
Like
and
me.
through it all,
Like me.
no, better than Matt Hunter.
No,
and through it all, you got to stay sexy. I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
Peace.